That's much better. And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast. Sorry for that longer than usual break. Once again, was trying to just trying to get my setup properly set up and make sure that I had good enough lighting. And it turns out this is the best spot to sit in the podcast room. So I appreciate your patience and bearing with me. Finally found a good spot, so this is where I'll be sitting for now. And let's go ahead and break into the third segment of this podcast where we talk about the recap of last night's games. Now, Lakers lost yet again, this time to the Hawks. Anthony Davis was out for this game, so it makes complete sense how the team failed to show up, and it makes complete sense how the Lakers end up losing, because they can't do anything without LeBron or Anthony Davis on the court at the same time. Everyone except LeBron, who had 21, 8, and 9, and Austin Reeves failed to show up. Austin Reeves had 28 points, but D'Lo finally had a bad game where he didn't show up offensively, and that might have played a big part in this blowout, along with Anthony Davis's injury. Well, not injury, but Anthony Davis sitting out. Obviously, this is really bad if you're the Lakers. The Lakers are in a terrible spot right now. Rui Hachimura again with another great game, but barely getting 20-plus minutes. And he ended with 16 points on 7 for 11. He needs more minutes. He clearly is playing like it, and I don't understand what the Lakers are doing. He wants these minutes, and he deserves these minutes. It's like, what is he doing? And he needs more minutes. The Hawks played great ball all around, shooting over 50, 40, 80 from the field. DeJounte and Trae Young were great. DeJounte had 24, and Trae Young had 26. Sadiq Bey had 18. Jalen Johnson had 19, and Capella had 13. So all the starters are in double figures. Obviously, the team suffered defensively without having Anthony Davis. And whenever the Lakers, as I said several times before, and I said several times in several other episodes, when they don't have LeBron or Anthony Davis, obviously they are going to lose. And that is just a very big problem that this team has, because I don't think they can go anywhere at this point with this roster. Jackson Hayes, of all people, was in the starting lineup. Why doesn't Darvin put Roy in the lineup? It doesn't make any sense to me. Obviously, Darvin Ham was trending on Twitter, saying fire Darvin Ham. That was trending on Twitter again. So it's only a matter of time at this point when, at least for my opinion, I think he's done. It makes absolutely no sense how Jackson Hayes got the starting spot over Rui Hachimura, and Roy was still able to put up much better production than him. It is bad. It is bad coaching, and it makes absolutely no sense to me. So, but I went on a little tangent, and I go on these tangents every time because it is the same thing every single year. It is all the time. But LeBron also I just want to mention that recently I looked at LeBron. He got caught tweeting an hourglass after the game. He also recently, I believe he recently sponsored with DraftKings. More on that maybe in another segment. But what does this mean? The hourglass tweet? Nobody knows. Maybe it could mean that he's running out of time, or maybe it could mean that Darvin Ham is also running out of time. Hold on, let me just sit up a little bit closer. It might mean that he's out of time, or he's running out of time. It might be that Darvin Ham's running out of time, or that a trade is coming soon, or that he's hinting that the trade deadline is coming up soon, so that way he's going to come in and start making trades. You know, the whole meme, La GM, he might be coming in to go and talk about these trades. The trade deadline ends the 10th of February, so they need to get to it. Obviously, you guys know that I'm a big LeBron fan, so I might as well go ahead and recap, go back on the point where I was saying, it's every single season with this guy, with his teams. Every single season, I have to watch LeBron's immense talents get wasted by either incompetent teammates or an incompetent front office. Nobody on the team is blameless, but nobody on the team can play. And I'm not going to scrutinize the oldest player in the NBA who's averaging a consistent and efficient 25, 7, and 7. I'm not going to do that. And you're obviously going to have a bunch of haters that are going to do that, but it's he's the oldest player in the league, and he's been doing this since he was 18. What more can you expect from him? Not to mention the fact that if he doesn't put up numbers like this, he almost for sure loses the game. these Lakers aren't going anywhere. Either they will miss the play-in again, lose in the play-in and miss the playoffs again for the third time in 6 years with a LeBron James in his prime. Yes, LeBron is in his prime. I do not care what anyone says. He's averaging prime numbers, if not better than what he did before. No, he is in his prime. Do not question me on that. And at this point, LeBron, I think he needs to get out of LA. Like, he has to get out of LA. It is inexcusable that you missed the playoffs for 3 years with LeBron. Inexcusable. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened since he was a rookie, and it shouldn't have happened here. Inexcusable. And it's not his fault, because look at what he's averaging in these games. They've been the worst at creating a roster and maintaining one good enough to make some noise. I think he needs to get out of LA, like now. And I think he should request a trade to go back to Cleveland so that everybody is happy. And they have a good amount of fans. Like, a good amount of fans on the Lakers are just Kobe fans who don't like LeBron and want him off the team. That's a wide margin of some of the fan bases. Or he could pull a Tom Brady, say, "Oh, I'm going to retire," and then he comes back and he signs, and whatever team he signs with maintains all the players, so that way they don't have to do a trade. This might harm his legacy, however, but at this point, LeBron is just wasting his time over in LA. Like, he should be winning titles. He should be competing in playoffs right now. But now he has to deal with an incompetent front offense and an incompetent bench and an incompetent starting lineup. Like, no. 20 plus years doing this. It's unbelievable. But regardless, back onto the rest of the games. The Knicks recently beat the Jazz in a blowout win, 118-103. With these last couple of wins under the Knicks' belt, they moved all the way up to the 3rd seed. And the 3rd seed, as a New York fan, I mean, I'm a Nets fan, obviously, but like, I don't hate on New York teams because, I have to represent. This is really cool. Like, we're living in an era where the Knicks and the Lions aren't depressed. I mean, now the Lions are depressed, but, during the regular season, they weren't that depressed. They're both really good. The Villanova legends went off tonight. DiVincenzo ended with 33, Jalen Brunson ended with 29, and Josh Hart ended with what I like to call a minimal triple-double, 10-10-10. And without Julius Randle, on top of that, I told you guys that the Knicks would be fine without him. Obviously, like, their 2 recent wins came against teams that aren't on, like, one of the top teams. So, like, we'll see how they match up against the Pacers tomorrow and see if there is a need to worry if the team will still remain as good as they have been. The Knicks do have a good defender in OG, so maybe that could counter some of the Pacers' offense and it could be slowed down just a little bit. Don't think so, because that offense does run at a high pace, but he could put a stop to some of the players here and there. This is a great year to be a Knicks fan. After their trade for OG, like, I think it's safe to say that they've become one of the teams to beat in the Eastern Conference. Like, they've been playing very, very good basketball. They are legit. And if you are the Jazz, however, obviously your team's like a little bit mediocre. So, like, they're fighting for a chance in the play-in spot right now. I don't see them making much noise if they do win. So they have good players on the team. They just still need to figure it out. And this isn't their year. That's for sure. This is not their year. I was talking about the Pacers before. I was talking about the Pacers, so I might as well bring up their game last night against the Boston Celtics, where they played the Celtics in the Celtics home court. Obviously, the Celtics ended up winning because they were playing at home. But the score was really close. It was 129-124. And listen to this. The Pacers had 108 shot attempts in this game, while the Celtics only had 87, and they lost. So they had so much more opportunities to score, and they still lost by 5 points. Like, the Pacers had way more shot attempts. It's amazing that Boston was somehow able to come up with the win, and it really speaks on just how good that Boston Celtics team really is. Like, the team had significantly more possessions than they did, but because of, like, their defense and because of, like, their offense being efficient when they needed it to be efficient, they were able to come out on top. And this is why they are the top team in the East and one of the teams to beat, and arguably the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. Halliburton was back for this game, coming back from injury, however. He only played 22 minutes, and he only had 13 and 10. He shot the ball very poorly from the field, going 5 for 16. Siakam ended the game with 23. Aaron Nesmith ended the game with 26. But all of the Celtic starters were in double figures, and they almost started with 20-plus points. Holiday and Porzingis were the only ones that didn't score over 20, but they had 17, so they were one three-pointer away. Derek White ended with 24, Jaylen Brown ended with 25, and Tatum ended with 30. Their defense, obviously, the Pacers' defense, when you allow the starting five to score this much, it's really inexcusable. Really inexcusable. Their defense is very, very suspect. And a team with bad defense is a team that I don't trust in the playoffs, because what if your offense doesn't show up? What if you're not hitting your shots tonight? What do you fall back on later in the game when you might need a big stop and you can't get anything going offensively? Where do you go? And Tyrese back and playing, this might as well I might as well go ahead and bring up how, in my opinion, that I don't think he's as good as a lot of the media has made him out to be. He's a great playmaker, phenomenal playmaker, and his shot selection, it's a lot better than what you'd expect from a typical point guard. But really, a lot of people give him a lot of praise for his playmaking, and they really like his passing. However, in my personal opinion, I do not think he should be over a player like Trae Young. Trae Young has been snubbed from the starting spot in the All-Star game so many times. He consistently averages 27 and 10 numbers, and he always ends the season being top 5 in assists. And he's only one of the league's best playmakers, along with Halliburton as well. But he's still averaging those numbers. A lot of people have recency bias and say Halliburton is better, which I just don't understand, because Trae Young has shown this consistency since he's entered the league. A lot of people say that the trade between the Hawks and the Mavs was incredibly one-sided because of how good Luka is, but Trae Young is also a really good basketball player. As a New Yorker, I hate him, but I don't like what he did with the Knicks and all that stuff, but it's he's a really good ball player. He's been playing at a very, very good level, a very elite level. And he's always been consistent every single time. So the fact that Dame and Halliburton were able to get the All-Star starting spot over him, it's a little bit unfair. And I just wanted to throw that out. Just wanted to throw that out there, because throw my 2 cents. The Raptors also beat the Bulls in 118-107 game. There weren't that many games played. This is the last one. Two mediocre teams that aren't really competing for. I don't think they have a single shot in the East. Not a chance whatsoever. Not with those top 4 teams in the East. No chance. The Bulls didn't have Zach LaVine this night again with his injury, and because but every starter ended in double figures tonight. DeMar had 25. Ayo had 21. Two mediocre teams. It's why I saved this one for last. The big talk for the Bulls is that they might end up trading Zach LaVine, but we have no idea for who yet. I don't think they're trading for him, because this isn't the first time that we've heard the Bulls are trading Zach LaVine. They do this all the time. And some sources speculate the Warriors could be a dark horse to get that trade. But again, I don't really see that happening. I think the Bulls, with this roster, is going to remain mediocre for this season. And until something changes for next season, it'll be the same story. The Raptors, on the other hand, I feel like they just need to get good chemistry. They just recently came off of a trade, getting RJ and the like, so I feel like they definitely need to build up that chemistry before I can legitimately say what their spot is. Obviously they're mid right now, but the recent trade, obviously they're going to be mid, and they're going to be struggling because of the team being different, the chemistry not being there, all those type of things. So with that, we are out of time for this third segment. We are going to go and break into the fourth segment, where I talk about the MVP ladder, considering how Joel Embiid is not going to be in it anymore after this week, in my opinion. So stay tuned for that after this short break.